If you're finding yourself stuck in your business, you don't know how to get to the next level, you know it's because you're probably doing a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. You need to start delegating. In order to properly scale your business, you need to be okay and comfortable, not just okay and comfortable, but intentional with delegating the things that you shouldn't be doing. Now, the question that I get a lot of times from people that I'm coaching when I tell them like, hey, you should be delegating. It's like, well, how do I even do that? And so we talk about all of the things that are happening in the company, right? So first you have to identify like, what is it you actually do as a company? It's the first question that I would have you ask yourself. In fact, there's 5 total questions. If you're trying to get to the point to where you can start delegating a lot of your tasks and freeing up your capacity to start doing the things that are really important and really going to add value to the company, you have to ask yourself 5 questions. And the first question is, what is everything we're doing as a company? You'd be surprised how many businesses I sit with in front of a whiteboard to where I ask them, hey, what all are you doing? And they've never really thought about it until we start talking about it and listing it out on a whiteboard. So list all of the different services, products, the value that you're adding as a company. What all are you doing? And after you've answered those questions or that question, the second question you want to ask is, what value do you bring to the company in order to do all of those things? And when you're first getting started, the value you add to the company is all of it. You're doing pretty much everything, especially if you're just starting out by yourself and you're not starting out with a team or a staff. You're doing everything. And then eventually you start to grow, and maybe you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur and you're working with a couple of independent contractors or freelancers. And then maybe you bring on a partner, or you bring on staff members, whatever it is. At some point in time, you get so busy to where you're going to have to start bringing on help. And for most people, when they bring on help, they haven't really had like thorough job descriptions created. They're just like, here's what we need you to do. But then everybody ends up becoming multidisciplinary and they start taking on multiple tasks. And so you really have to ask yourself, what is the value that you as the business owner add to the company? It's not everything. Okay, so for an example, for Butler Branding, the value that Sean adds to Butler Branding is client relations. I love working with clients, and not only do I love it, I'm good at working with my clients and building those relations. Onboarding and doing strategy. I'll never stop doing strategy. It doesn't mean that other people can't do strategy. It just means that I'm always going to function in a strategic role. The other thing that I do is I bring visionary direction. Where are we going as a company? What is it that we're actually trying to accomplish? So it's onboarding, it's client relations, it's strategy, it's visionary direction, it's creating content for the brand, and it's leadership development. I'm really passionate about developing leaders so that they can start having people underneath them and they're leading their people. So those are the 5 things that I'm really good at. So I know all that we do as a company. I've identified the value that I'm bringing to the company. The third question you have to ask is, what are the things in light of that you need to stop doing as soon as possible? So here's everything we're doing as a company. Here's the value that I, as the business owner, add to the company. This is what I'm really good at, and this is really how the company benefits, is if my time is spent doing these things. So you identify those, and then in light of that, identify what are the things then that you should stop doing as soon as possible. Maybe it's answering the phones and doing customer service. Maybe it's invoicing and billing. Maybe it's managing the day-to-day tasks of the business. Maybe it's account management, project management. Maybe it's doing the creative work. Maybe it's doing marketing. I don't know what that is for you. You know what that is. And so you have to identify not only what you do as a company, what value you add as the business owner, but what are the things then you should stop doing as soon as possible. Once you start listing all of the things that you should stop doing, that's the list of things that you should delegate. Prioritize which ones you want to get off your plate as soon as possible. But then the fourth question you need to ask yourself is, who are the people that you have who can do those things? Maybe you don't have anybody right now. Maybe you've never worked with anybody. Maybe there is a virtual assistant that you can hire. Maybe there's someone that you can hire part-time. Maybe there's a contractor or a freelancer. Maybe you do have a team and someone else really thrives or would thrive doing these other things. Or maybe you can delegate those things to them and change their job description, move someone laterally. Maybe you can bring on a new employee and you've identified maybe 5 or 6 things that all fit within a particular job description. But you're not going to get there unless you've identified what are those things you need to stop doing now. So once you've done that, here's everything we do as a company. Here's the value that I personally add to the company. Here are the things then that I should stop doing immediately. And here are the people who can do those things. Then the 5th question and the last question you need to ask yourself is what needs to happen in order for you to get there? Okay, you can't just say, okay, well, I've identified all the things that I don't want to do. I've identified the people who I can delegate those to. You want to then say, okay, well, what needs to happen? What do I need to set up? What systems do I need to create? What standard operating procedures? What processes do I need to define in order for me to get there? You can't just say, I've identified those things and I'm going to pawn it off on somebody. You're going to drive people nuts. People need clarity. People need direction. And that's one of the things that you as a business owner have to provide them. You have to provide them the means of getting success in those roles. And so maybe you have to identify some of your processes. Maybe you have to set up some standard operating procedures, or maybe you have to develop some create software, or not create software, or like purchase a subscription to a software that can help you do these things. You need to set up some things to get you there. So the questions again, what do you do as a company? What is the value that you add to the company? In light of that, what are the things that you should stop doing as soon as possible? Who do you know or who do you have who can help you do those things? And what needs to be set up in order for you to get there?